Tensions in the Caribbean have reached new heights after shocking reports confirmed that thousands of elite U.S. military troops have landed in waters near Venezuela. The large-scale deployment is being described as one of the most significant U.S. military operations in the region in recent years. A powerful fleet of aircraft carriers, amphibious assault ships, and fighter jets was seen conducting maneuvers that immediately prompted Caracas to raise its national alert level. According to initial reports, the forces include elite units such as the U.S. Marine Expeditionary Units and Special Operations Command teams. The Pentagon insists the operation is part of a maritime security and regional stability mission, yet many international analysts view it as a strategic signal aimed at the government of Nicolás Maduro, a regime that has long clashed with Washington over democracy, human rights, and narcotics enforcement. The Venezuelan government swiftly condemned the move, accusing the United States of provoking instability and threatening its sovereignty. Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez denounced the deployment as an act of intimidation that could trigger regional turmoil. In response, Venezuelan armed forces reportedly mobilized coastal missile batteries and intensified air patrols across the nation's northern seaboard. The White House, however, denies any hostile intent behind the buildup. A Pentagon spokesperson stated that the presence of U.S. troops in the Caribbean is part of routine training operations to ensure freedom of navigation and to counter illicit trafficking. Still, global skepticism remains high, especially given the timing and proximity of the exercises to Venezuelan territorial waters. Geopolitical observers suggest the move sends a clear message that Washington continues to dominate the Western Hemisphere's security landscape. By positioning thousands of elite troops near Venezuela, the U.S. signals its readiness to act swiftly should regional stability be threatened. Intelligence sources even suggest that the operation may be partly aimed at curbing the growing influence of Russia and China in Latin America. Residents along Venezuela's coastal regions have expressed growing anxiety as military activity intensifies offshore. Fighter jets have been seen streaking across the skies, and the distant sounds of live fire drills echo from the horizon. Local media outlets have aired emergency broadcasts urging citizens to stay calm, but alert as tensions rise between the two nations. Neighboring countries, including Colombia and Cuba, are monitoring the situation closely. Regional leaders have called for restraint and renewed diplomatic dialogue to prevent any escalation into open conflict. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council is reportedly preparing for an emergency session to address the unfolding crisis in the Caribbean. As the world watches, uncertainty looms over the next move by both Caracas and Washington. Is this massive deployment merely a routine military exercise, or could it mark the beginning of a new confrontation in the Western Hemisphere? One thing is clear: the Caribbean has just become the stage for one of the most intense geopolitical flashpoints of the decade. In the days following the U.S. deployment, the international community has been on edge. World leaders from Europe to Asia have issued cautious statements urging restraint, while major news networks broadcast live coverage of U.S. naval formations visible from satellite imagery. The Pentagon's silence on specific troop numbers has only fueled speculation that this might be more than a training mission. Satellite footage released by independent observers appears to show multiple amphibious landing craft positioned just 200 nautical miles from Venezuela's northern coast, a distance that could allow for rapid response operations within hours. Inside Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro convened an emergency session with his top military commanders, ordering full mobilization of air defense systems and rapid deployment forces. In a televised address, Maduro accused Washington of attempting to ignite a war in Latin America, and vowed that Venezuela will defend every inch of its territory. His speech was met with roaring applause from loyal supporters, but also deep concern among citizens who fear the country could become the next flashpoint in a global power struggle. Meanwhile, intelligence analysts in Washington have begun drawing parallels to past operations, such as the U.S. interventions in Panama and Grenada. The scale and precision of this deployment suggests that the United States is not merely testing its readiness, said a former Pentagon strategist. This is a geopolitical message, and one that Caracas, Moscow, and Beijing are surely analyzing very closely. Reports have also surfaced that Russian surveillance aircraft have been spotted over the Caribbean, allegedly monitoring U.S. troop movements in real time. In Latin America, reactions are divided. Some nations aligned with the United States, like Colombia and Brazil, have expressed quiet support for what they describe as a stabilizing presence in the region. Others, including Cuba, Nicaragua, and Bolivia, have condemned the move, warning that it could reignite Cold War-era tensions across the hemisphere. The Organization of American States, OES, has called for an urgent dialogue to prevent a diplomatic crisis from turning into a regional confrontation. As night falls over the Caribbean, the horizon glows faintly from the lights of U.S. warships cutting through the dark waters. Fighter jets continue their patrol routes, and Venezuelan radar systems remain locked onto unidentified targets. Both nations insist they do not seek war, yet neither seems willing to step back. The world watches, breath held, as the standoff intensifies between one of the world's most powerful militaries and a defiant nation determined to protect its sovereignty. If the situation continues to escalate, analysts warn, even a minor incident, a misread radar blip, an accidental airspace violation, or an aggressive patrol maneuver could spark a chain reaction leading to open conflict. For now, the Caribbean remains tense, uncertain, and caught in the crosshairs of global power politics.